Bob always thought that one of his biggest contributions to the martial arts world was his footwork. Let's take a look at a clip from his video, Fighting Footworks of Kuntao and Silat, Lanka 4A, and then we'll look at some finer points.
The window of opportunity for this stance, like Lanka 3, is mid to late game. The stance is a twist stance. Leg contact is my shin on his shin. This is my left, his right. The risk factor is very high. It's 5 out of a possible 5. And the combat potential is high, not as high as the risk factor. It's only a 4 out of 5. Lanka 4 is our second twist stance Lanka. Just as Lanka 3 is the complement to Lanka 1, it uses the same like leads. Lanka 4 is our complement to Lanka 2. It uses the same unlike leads. Like the Lankas before it, this one is also practiced using our 3 methods. Its best window of opportunity, in other words, when you might most effectively employ it, is mid and late game. Seldom will you use it as your initial move. Leg contact is like Lanka 2, for it works on unlike leads, only this time it's shin on shin, like Lanka 1. Lanka 4's risk factor is actually higher than Lanka 1. Lanka 1 was a 4 out of 5 when I'm in this position. And that's because I can do to him what he can in turn do to me. Lanka 4, however, has the highest risk factor here. It has a lower combat potential, but the risk factor is much higher. And that's because even though I can do things to him, he can do worse to me. The vulnerability occurs because I don't get my foot turned out and my knee pointed on him at the same time. The further you turn your foot out in either direction, the more off angle your knee gets. That means that mine has greater vulnerability and exposure. But like Lanka 3, and all the Lankas for that matter, any vulnerability is significantly reduced by proper execution. I want his weight back. In this case, I want his body twisted and my weight forward. Then that vulnerability really no longer exists. But if you don't get the position right, you're definitely vulnerable. Like Lanka 3's similarity to Lanka 2, Lanka 4 has only slightly less obvious potential as its open stance complement, Lanka 1. But like Lanka 3, Lanka 4's latent potential is higher than its obvious potential. Lanka 4's obvious combat potential is pretty high anyway. It's 4. However, its latent combat potential kicks it up to the top, 5 out of a possible 5. Let's walk the drill again. This time we'll describe what we're doing. We're going to walk Lanka 4A down the pattern and break down all the pieces for you. Ron? I'm going to start in this position. I have a left shin on shin lock applied on him. I have a 3-dot alignment. His arm is across here, and I've got his weight shifted back off that leg. I cue my partner, and then I step off at this diagonal. I'm in a position where I'm getting away from that gun, but staying on the inside of his arm is insufficient because he can still tag me if he continues rotation. I neutralize that by shifting it across here. As I do, I move my body into position, come in then, apply my lock, and then I grind. Once I get everything else shifted, then I apply the grind. I cue him, and he steps back, and I'm smothering in, getting away from that other gun, immediately sliding it across and coming into this position. I'll be very close to him. I could bite him if I had to. Couldn't like that too well. From here, then, I pop him in the knee again. I'm going to angle off here, right behind him, sticking. I guide it across as I move. Then I come in to my lock, cue him. Again, stepping off here, you can see the crossover occurs on this line. Indicates my position. It happens to indicate my foot direction that it moves, but that's not always the case, remember. Then I make my C-step and I lock in. I cue it. I'm going to follow this diagonal. Here's my body position on the line. My body position on the line. My body position and overall direction on the line. Now we're going to do this again from the other side. Ron? From this side, going left to right now. I cue him, angling off behind him, but quickly get his arm where I want it, to where it's now more difficult for him to fire his punch. As I move across, his arm moves, C-step in, lean forward, cueing. Stepping off the diagonal, feeding across, C-step in, cueing. Stepping off on the diagonal, across, coming back in on the diagonal, C-step, cueing. Then I come back, step across, C-step, cueing. Diagonal, feed it, come in, lock. Then you could continue to back and forth as the room allows. But now you've seen it applied with all these angles as they work across the floor. Let's see about breaking down individual elements now. When you swing your partner's arm and adjust the foot position to the lock, you can actually do this a couple of ways. You can swing his arm, make your step, and then your lock. Or you can swing your arm as you're making your step, either way because you have control of this. Come in and make your lock. You'll develop a preference over time for which way you like doing it. What's happened in my case is I developed a preference for one, then I saw the benefit to the other, developed a preference for that, bounced back and forth until I found one that just really worked for me. That really is the process of learning, trying different things until you find the one that works for you. Let's look now at a possible application for Lanka 4A. You may be thinking Lanka 4A looks a bit complicated. I mean, where on earth would you use such a method? Well, consider this. I'm off here and I'm blindsided by this punch. Now what I'm going to do is I've saved my face, but I move right in to Lanka 4A. From this position, I simply grind and he goes down. If I want to get more violent than that, more brutal, he fires the punch and I'm here, but now I move to Lanka 2. With this Lanka 2 position, I can destroy his knee. However, whacking the guy may not be your option. I mean, this could be your wife's only brother, and you still want to sleep with his sister, the one you married at least. The Lanka 4A provides an obviously less violent way to deal with him, and all the A versions fill that niche. Silat works really good. You're going to slide in. That's what the A versions do. You don't have to hit him. You just slip right in there. I've said this before, but it bears repeating. Lanka 4A angles behind because you want to move away from his other gun. And just like the other A, Silat methods, angulation is towards your partner's back and outside his striking arm. I know I'm often tempted to angle in front because it's easier and sometimes more efficient. However, while it may be easy, it is fraught with danger. Let me show you. I'm in this position here. I grind. Now I'm trying to snake in, but I'm running right into that line of fire. You see that threat? 4B's Kuntao method, however, makes this angle work safely and effectively. So let's look at Lanka 4B.
As you can see in this snapshot, I have a good head, hip, heel alignment with a forward presentation towards my partner. My partner has a head, hip, heel alignment also, but it's in the opposite direction. Anytime I can get my opponent back on his heels with that opposite head, hip, heel alignment is to my advantage. You can see that my back gun, my back knee is pointed on target to my opponent's front leg. I'm also attacking the weak line of his stance at an angle.
Okay.
You'll see in this clip what Bob called the neutral horse. He added it to the drill after he finished filming the video. It really doesn't do anything for the drill or the practical application, but it is a good training tool. It gives the student a common jumping off point, which is common to all the Lankas. In the application, you can see that the same principles and the same lines apply